بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. We are still in the book of purification and prayer, trying to cover the following, what you see in front of you, what necessitate wudu, the etiquette of wudu. And I think that we have already covered this. Okay, yes. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, go ahead, Majid.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. يقول المؤلف رحمه الله ونفعنا بعلومه وعلومكم. موجبات الوضوء ثلاثة أنواع.
موجبات wudu, the thing that necessitate wudu, things that make wudu an obligation. You need to have wudu if those things happen to you.
قال أحداث وهي الغائط والريح والبول والودي والمذي ودم الاستحاضة.
So what necessitates wudu can be categorized in three. Can be divided into three categories. The first one are ahdath, which are like events, things that happen, that is an event from you, and these things are drop or waste faces, or passing wind, or urine, or wadi. Wadi is a discharge lighter than sperm and lighter than madhi. So they are in the same category. The discharge come out of the private part, but a little bit thicker than urine. And also blood of istihada. Istihada is when a woman has an extended menstruation.
قال وأسباب وهي ما غطى على العقل من نوم ثقيل أو إغماء أو سكر.
So the second category are not ahdath, they're not filth or events that something happened. They are causes. The cause are the thing. The cause you not to know what happened. So, and these causes are what covers the intellect. What covers the intellect, like what make you lose control of your mind, like having a heavy sleep. You don't control when you sleep, you lose control of your mind, or unconsciousness, or intoxication.
قال ولمس من يلتذ به عادة إن قصد اللذة أو وجدها.
So another cause for you to lose your wudu is to touch a person that you touch a person with a sensual feeling, a feeling of pleasure when touching. The touch happen, and that person is normally that person is someone that can be touched with a feeling. If that person is someone that usually people don't touch them with a feeling, like touching your mother, for example. This will break your wudu if you touch someone that is usually touched with feeling of pleasure. But there's a detail in that. If you touch that person intentionally to get some feeling, your wudu will be broken. But if no matter if, let's say that you touch someone and your intention is that to feel good, have some feeling, regardless you have that feeling from the touch or not, your wudu will be broken. But if you touch someone unintentionally, a person that usually people touch them with, people can feel something when they touch them. That was, you did not intend and you touched that person, but you felt something, your wudu would be broken. But if you did not feel anything, your wudu will not be broken. So I don't know if the details makes sense if you can see that, but this is a way from the Maliki to be in the middle between the Hanafi and the Shafi'i. We say the Shafi'i say that when you touch a woman, your wudu is broken, and the Hanafi say that your wudu is not broken. For the Maliki, it is combining between the two, being in the middle. If you touch someone with a feeling, you intend to feel something when you touch that person, your wudu is broken. If you did not intend to touch that person, but you got some feeling from touching her, your wudu is also broken. Go ahead.
ومس الذكر بلا حائل بباطن الكف أو الأصابع أو بجنبيهما.
Also touching the private part of a male with either the bottom of your palm, with your palm, the bottom of your hand, or the sides of the palm or the fingers, or the side of your palms, or the bottom of or the bottom or the side of the fingers, without any a direct touch will break your wudu. Which means that if touching the private part if the touching happen indirectly, for example, you have clothes or plastic or a glove, this does not break your wudu.
وما ليس بحدث ولا سبب وهي الردة أعاذنا الله منها.
So the third category is what is not an event, is not a hadath or a filth, or it is not also a cause. And these are first apostasy, or getting out of Islam. A person who rejects Islam, he loses his wudu. May Allah protect us. Go ahead.
والشك فإن تيقن الحدث وشك في الطهارة أو تيقنهما وشك في السابق منهما فلا وضوء عنده مطلقا. وإن تيقن الطهارة وشك في الحدث فإن كان الشك يعتاده كل يوم ولو مرة واحدة ألغاه. وإلا فإن شك قبل الصلاة توضأ وجوبا وفي الصلاة أتمها، فإن زال عنه الشك فيها أو بعدها وإلا وجب عليه الوضوء والإعادة.
So here, the second of what is not hadath or sabab is doubt. If you doubt, and let's say that you are sure that you lost your wudu by way of hadath, but you doubt that you have renewed your wudu, or you doubt, or you are sure that you have lost your wudu, and that you have renewed your wudu, but you doubt which one is first. Did you renew your wudu before losing it, or you lost your wudu and renew? You don't know. So this doubt will invalidate your wudu. You don't have wudu when you are in this state of doubt. But if you are certain that you have wudu, but you are uncertain, you doubt that your wudu is lost or not. In this case, if the doubt is something that is repeated with you always, even one time a day, in this case, you forget about the doubt and you consider that you have wudu. You don't worry about your doubt or uncertainty. But if the doubt that you have is not a frequent doubt. It's just sometimes it happened, one time it happened in a week or in a month. In this case, you look, if the doubt was before prayer, you make your wudu, you renew your wudu, obligatory, you have to renew your wudu. But if that doubt come when you are in your prayer, you doubt, oh, I make wudu, but I lost my wudu, but I make wudu, but I'm not sure if I lost it or not. If this was in the middle of your prayer, you look. If it end, you continue your prayer, you don't stop praying, you finish your prayer. But after finishing your prayer, if during your prayer, your doubt turned to certainty that you have renewed your wudu, or that you have renewed your wudu, your prayer is fine. Or you finish your prayer and you realize that you have renewed your wudu, your prayer is fine. You don't need to redo your prayer. But if you finish praying and you did not have that feeling that you have renewed your wudu, you did not have this feeling of certainty that you have renewed your wudu in your prayer or out of the prayer, here you have to renew your wudu and redo your prayer. There's a lot of details, but later if you go back and try to picture it, it may be easy. Go ahead, Majid.
فصل في آداب قضاء الحاجة والاستنجاء.
So this is a chapter about the etiquettes of relieving oneself and istinja, using the bathroom, going to the toilets, and cleaning oneself.
قال يشرع لمريد الحاجة التباعد وإعداد المزيل وقول اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الخبث والخبائث قبل الدخول إن أعد وإلا فقبل الجلوس وتقديم اليسرى وتغطية الرأس واعتماد على اليسرى بل اليد قبل لقي الأذى وغسلها بكتراب بعده.
So here the etiquette of using the bathroom is, it says that it is prescribed for the one who wants to relieve himself to distance himself first. And this is written where usually houses did not have toilets and bathroom. So people will go far, distance themselves from other people. But now this is not a requirement anymore, but you have a bathroom prepared for that. So you take a distance from people and you prepare what you will need to use to remove the harm or the waste that is coming from you, making sure that the toilet tissues are there or there's water before you go. And then you say this dua, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the evil male and female spirits or entities. And you say that before entering, if you have you are already prepared, you have prepared yourself. Otherwise, you say that before sitting and using the bathroom. And enter with the left foot, cover your head, that's prescribed. Lean up on the left foot. This is when people did not have toilet seat. Now that we have toilet seat, this is not applicable unless if you are in a situation where there's no toilet seat and you have to sit to use it. And wet the hand before touching, before cleaning yourself, clean your hand. That's basically what it is. And wash the hand after you finish cleaning yourself with something like earth. This is that time they will use dirt to rub their hand as a form of cleaning it. But now we don't need that, or most people living in cities don't need it. There are water that you can use. Go ahead, Majid.
قال ويجب استفراغ ما في المخرج بسلت لذكر ونتر خفيفين.
So it is an obligation after using the bathroom to make sure that there's no remaining of urine or waste in the private part. So you need to make an effort, whatever it takes you, to make sure that there's no remaining of urine in that. That's what this is for.
وإتباع بماء في بول امرأة واستحاضة ومني ومذي ومنتشر عم جل الحشفة من البول أو وصل إلى المقعدة من الغائط.
So after you make sure that there's no remaining of urine in the private part or waste in case of using it, for a woman, she use water, running water in the private part to clean it, or also clean the remaining of the blood in terms of extended blood after a period which is called istihada. And cleaning, also using water to clean the madhi and the mani, the sperm. Madhi, I mentioned that is a light discharge that's thicker than urine, but lighter than sperm. So you use water to clean that. And when the impurity covers most of the tip of the private part, or the waste is spread from the bottom, you have to use water to make sure to clean that. It's a little bit graphic, but it is important to know, because purification is a precondition for prayer. Go ahead, Mike.
ويكفي في غير ذلك استجمار بطاهر يابس منق وليكن غير مؤذن ومحترم لشرف أو طعم أو حق للغير.
So in other than the cases mentioned, it is sufficient to do istijmar. Istijmar is to use other than water to clean yourself. So the istijmar has to be something that is dry, and because if it's wet, you're not really cleaning, you're helping spreading the waste and the filth. So it has to be wet and something that can be pure and can be used to clean other things, like tissues, for example, in modern days. And it has to be not harmful. It has to be dry and cleansing. It can clean things. And it should be also, it should not be harmful. You don't want to use something that's harmful. And also it should not be something that is sacred, something that is respected, something that's honorable, like food, or let's say perfume, mist, or the property of another person.
ويزاد للوتر بعدما أنقى من شفع إلى 7 ويستحب إتباعه بالماء وهو أفضل للمقتصر.
You should repeat the process of istijmar. For water, it doesn't have to be 3, but istijmar has to be repeated and clean the area. You have to do it an odd number of time, make it from 2 to 7 according to the needs. And it is recommended, even if you use istijmar, to follow the istijmar with water. And in modern day, which means that if you use toilet paper, tissues, make sure that you use water after that also. That's recommended, that's mustahab. But in case you have the option to choose only one of the two, either water or istijmar, it is better to use water.
ويحرم فيه استقبال القبلة واستدبار بفضاء دون ساتر.
So it is while using the bathroom, it is haram to face the Qibla or give your back to the Qibla if you are in an open field. People don't, in cities, don't use the open field to go to the bathroom in the open field. But let's say that you go to a camping, you are in a camping where there's no toilet building, and you have to use it outside. It is haram to face the Qibla or give your back to the Qibla. But which imply that if you are in a house or a toilet that has a wall, barriers, here it is not haram to face the Qibla or give your back to the Qibla. And this is one of the ruling where the Maliki is is different from the Hanafi. For the Hanafi, there's no difference whether you are in an open field or you are in a building using it. And the reason for this is the Prophet ﷺ saying in the hadith that if you go to use the bathroom, do not face the Qibla and do not give back to your Qibla. That's the general ruling. And then the Malik and the Shafi making the exception of being only in a building is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar one time who went up to the house of his sister Hafsa, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, and unintentionally saw the Prophet ﷺ facing the Qibla. So this was in a building. It did not have a roof, but it has building. That's how the Hanafi, the Shafi and the Maliki understood it. Go ahead, Matt.
وجلوس بطريق ومورد وحيث يستشرق الناس ويستظلون.
So it is also prohibited to sit in a pathway or a place that people take their animal for drink. People to use that to relieve yourself in that place where people walk so on the road or where people take shade. You don't use that. You don't pollute public spaces.
ودخول بمصحف أو بعضه فإن اضطر فبساتر.
So it is also haram to enter the bathroom with a copy of the Quran and Mus'haf, or even if it is not a whole Mus'haf, portion of the Mus'haf. Or if one must do so, then, but if you are in a place that you cannot leave your Quran outside, you have to cover it.
ويكره الذكر فيه ودخول به.
So it's also disliked to engage in dhikr once you are in the restroom as well, or to bring something written, something that dhikr is written on.
قال ويندب قوله بعد الخروج غفرانك الحمد لله الذي أذهب عني الأذى وعافاني.
After relieving oneself, it is recommended to make this dua. I ask your forgiveness, praise be to you. You are the one who has removed the harm from me and relieved me.
فصل في فرائض الوضوء.
So this is about the obligational acts of wudu.
فرائض الوضوء 7.
So there are 7 acts that are obligatory. You must do them for your wudu to be valid.
النية في أوله ولا يضر عزوبها بعد غسل وجهه.
So the first is the intention, having the intention at the beginning, and there's no problem if you forgot your intention to after where you're washing your face, because washing your face is the first obligatory part of wudu. So if you delay your intention to that stage, that's fine, but the intention is an obligation in wudu. And here again, the Maliki differ differs from the Hanafi.
وغسل الوجه مع تخليل اللحية الخفيفة.
It is an obligation to wash your face and rub. Takhlil is to rub, to put water, rub your beard in a way, a light beard in a way that the water will go under.
وغسل اليدين إلى المرفقين مع تخليل أصابعهما.
Washing the hand to the elbows are included. That's an obligation. And also rub between the fingers. Make sure to wash a bit, the water touch what is between the fingers.
ومسح جميع الرأس.
It is an obligation to wipe on the whole head one time. This again, the Maliki differ from the Shafi'i and the Hanafi. The Hanafi is only 1/4 of the head, and the Shafi'i is only 1/2. But the Maliki and the Hanbali, you have to wipe the whole head for your wudu to be valid.
وغسل الرجلين إلى الكعبين ويندب تخليل أصابعهما.
It is an obligation to wash the feet to the ankles, and it is recommended here to not wash, but rub with water, wash actually, between the toes.
والدلك وهو إمرار اليد على العضو.
So here again, rubbing, which is defined as passing your hand over the lamb, is an obligation. So that's also something that the Maliki differ from the Hanafi, is that it is not enough to pass water on the wudu lamb, the wudu part. You have to rub it, that's washing. So if you just fell into the pool without rubbing your wudu part, your wudu will not be valid for the Hanafi, for the Maliki.
والموالاة فإن فرقه عمدا وطال بطل وإن فرقه سهوا أو عجزا بلا تفريط وبنى على الفور صح.
So it is also an obligation act to have a continuity in the way you make your wudu. I think that in some books they mention sequence, they translate it by sequence. So meaning that when you wash your face, don't wait until your face dry to wash your hand. You have to be continuous. So that's muwala. But if you separate between them and there's a time, it takes some time, time, you did not continue, you wash your face, and then let's say that after 10 minutes you come and you wash your hand, or after 30 minutes you come and wash your hand, your wudu will not be valid. But if you separate between them out of forgetfulness or out of incapacity, you could not, you're not able to do it continuously without negligence. But as long as you are able to continue, you do it, your wudu will be valid. Otherwise, it will not be valid.
وسننه غسل اليدين أولا إلى الكوعين خارج الإناء والمضمضة والاستنشاق والاستنثار ورد مسح الرأس ومسح الأذنين باطنهما وظاهرهما وتجديد الماء لهما والترتيب فإن نكس وطال أعاد ما قدمه عن محله فقط وإلا أعاده وما بعده استنانا وكذلك الحكم في من نسي عضوا إلا أن غسل المنسي فورا واجب.
So Sunnah, after finishing talking about the obligational act of wudu, is talking now about the Sunnah of the wudu, the act that it is you do it, you have the reward. You don't do it, your wudu is still valid. And these are washing your hands to the wrist, beginning the hand, wash the hand to the wrist, and out of the container of. That's when people have container for wudu. Now, if you're using the faucet, just wash your hand to the wrist. And then madmada, washing your mouth, istinshaq, rinsing your nose, istinsar. And so istinshaq is aspiring the water with your nose. And then istinsar is lightly blowing them out of the nose to clean your nose. That's sunnah. And raddul masah, so wiping your head, the first one, starting from the beginning of your head to the back of your head, that's an obligation. But returning it a second time, wipe, that's a sunnah. And then wiping the ears is sunnah, inside them and outside them, both are sunnah. And renewing water to wipe your wudu, your ears is sunnah. And the order, following the order of the wudu is sunnah, meaning that you need to start by washing your hand, your rinsing your mouth, your nose, your washing your face, your hand to the elbow. Following that order of wudu is sunnah. If you if you reverse the order, and then after a long time, it took long, فإن نكس وطال أعاد ما قدمه عن محله فقط وإلا أعاده وما بعده استنانا. So let me see how we translate that. So if he reversed the order of the wudu and a long time passed, he should only repeat that which he did out of the order, right? So if you you reverse the order and a long time pass, and you do the order that you have reversed. You only I'm trying to explain it in a picture. Let's say that, for example, I wash trying to find the example, but let's go ahead. But if it is not a long time, you only repeat فإن نكس وطال أعاد ما قدمه عن محله فقط. So let's say that you making wudu, I wash my hand, I rinse my mouth, my nose, my face, and then I jump to my head. I did not wash my hand to the elbow, and then I continue that till I wash my feet. So there's some it takes some time there, and I remember that here I just go back to and wash what I have jumped only. I repeat that only. But if it did not take a long time, let's say that the distance is only one movement after that, I jump my face. After rinsing my mouth, I move to my hand only. Here, I'll go back and I wash my face, and I'll wash my hand and continue by way of sunnah. So same thing for if you forgot a wudu part. If it is not a long time, if it is a long time, you wash the part that you have forgotten only. But if it takes a long time, you wash that part and what comes after that. So if it's a long time, you wash the part that you have forgotten only. If it's a short time, you wash that part as well as the part that are after till the end. إلا أن غسل المنسي فورا واجب. So the different. So I don't know if the picture is clear. Let's say that I'm making wudu and I finish my wudu and I remembered, let's say that after 30 minutes, I remember that I did not wash my face. So what I go back and wash my face only. But if I finish my wudu, making my wudu, I did not wash my face. And then when I was washing my feet, I remember that, oh, I did not wash my face. I go back, wash my face, and wash after my face, my hand to the elbow, rinse and finish that. Except that when you forget when you forget a wudu part, you have to wash that immediately after remembering it, and thus is an obligation. Go ahead.
قال وفضائله التسمية وستر العورة وطهارة المحل والاستقبال وتثليث المغسول إذا عمت الأولى وقلة الماء مع الإسباغ وتقديم الميامن على المياسر والبدء بمقدم الرأس وأعالي الأعضاء والسواك وأن يقول بعد الفراغ أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم اجعلني من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
So the fada'il of the wudu, fada'il is recommended, but it is not in the way of sunnah, is less than sunnah. So the fada'il are to say Bismillah, make the basmala at the beginning to cover your aura and to make sure that the place of your wudu is clean, facing the qibla, renewing, repeating your wudu, the wudu 3 times. This is if the first time has covered all your wudu lamb, your wudu part. Otherwise, you have to, it is an obligation to cover it. So the second time is not fadila in this case. Use a lot of a small water, not wasting water, and isbagh, beginning, how do we translate the isbagh, washing, completing? So isbagh is the first wash, conserving water, maintaining proper washing. Isbagh, that's a good translation. Giving, having a proper washing for your part, and giving, starting with the right before the left, and starting with the beginning of the top of your head in case of washing your face or rubbing or wiping on your head. You start from the beginning, from the top, not from the back or from your chin. And then start from the upper part of your limbs in your wudu, meaning that if you're washing your hand to the elbow, the washing should start from the fingers to the elbow, not from the elbow to the fingers. Sometimes when we use a faucet, it's difficult to do that, but that's a fadila that we need to be aware of. And using the siwak in our wudu, and then say it after finishing your wudu, this dua, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh Allahumma ij'alni min at-tawwabin waj'alni min al-mutatahhirin subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Go ahead, Majid.
يكره الكلام فيه إلا رد السلام والذكر كإجابة المؤذن والدعاء ومن الوارد اللهم اغفر لي ذنبي ووسع لي في داري وبارك لي في رزقي وقنعني بما رزقتني ولا تفتني بما زويت عني.
It is dislike to speak, to talk during your wudu, unless you are returning the salam, and or you are making dhikr, like replying to the adhan, answering the adhan, and making dua. And the dua, some of the dua that has been reported in the hadith is the Allahumma ghfir li dhanbi, forgive my sin, wasi' li fi dari, expand my house, and bless me in what you have provided me with, and make me satisfied with what I have, and do not cause me to be tested, to be have a fitna in what you did not give me.
وشروط صحته عدم الحائل والمنافي.
So the condition, this is the condition of validity for wudu. So after you have done all these things, or before you're doing the thing, what are the conditions that this thing that you have done become valid? And there are two conditions of the validity of wudu. The absence of a barrier, or the absence of what invalidates wudu. So if you were making wudu, you have gloves and making wudu, that glove, water, this barrier will prevent water to touch all your hand. So the wudu will not be valid. Or the presence of what invalidates wudu for a woman in a state of haid, for example, wudu will not really have an impact, because they're the state that prevent that wudu anyway. Go ahead.
ويمنع الحدث من الصلاة والطواف ومس المصحف إلا لمعلم ومتعلم.
So hadath, the thing that invalidates your wudu, it prevents from praying, meaning that if you pray, your prayer is not valid, you need to have your wudu before praying. It prevents from making tawaf. That's the difference between the Maliki and the Hanafi. Having wudu is not a condition for the tawaf in the Hanafi. And it prevents from touching the mushaf. You cannot touch the Quran if you don't have wudu, except you are a teacher or a learner, mu'allim or muta'allim, a teacher or a learner. So here, a student, this is an easy way out that the Maliki fiqh offer for people, students or teachers. Sometimes it's difficult to renew your wudu. You can go with that. Go ahead.
فصل في موجبات الغسل. موجباته النقاء من الحيض والنفاس والجنابة.
So this chapter is the I cannot see here, the obligated, what ghusl, it's obligated, and it's so chapter about what necessitates ghusl. Here, the first thing, the thing that necessitates ghusl are menstruation, hayd, nifas. Nifas is a postnatal bleeding or janaba, being in the state of janaba. This necessitates that you make ghusl, not wudu. So if a woman, after finishing a period, or after a postnatal bleeding stop, or a man or a woman after being in the state of janaba, have to have a ghusl.
قال وهي نوعان: علاج البالغ حشفته في قبل أو دبر ولو من ذكر أو بهيمة، والثاني خروج المني في النوم مطلقا أو اليقظة إذا خرج بلذة معتادة ولو بحك لجرب أو هز دابة فتمادى ملتذا حتى أنزل وإلا فعليه غسل أثره والوضوء فقط.
So what necessitate janaba are two. So the first is if a male part is inserted in a woman private part, or even a woman private part disappear in the part of a woman, be it in the front part or the back part. It doesn't mean that's okay, but just this is the ruling for janaba. When the private part of the man is inserted there, this causes the janaba. And even, let's say somebody, a person also, for some reason, had this encounter with an animal, he will have to make a janaba. Again, this is not to say that's okay, but in the books of fiqh, they mention cases that lead to ruling. It doesn't mean that they advocate for that. So that's need to be clearly understood. So the second thing that cause the janaba is the coming out of sperm, of money, in a state of sleeping, having a wet dream, or being awake, and the money, the sperm come out with a feeling, a sensation of feeling, a feeling of pleasure that is a usual feeling of pleasure. Meaning that if the money come for something that is not pleasurable, sometimes they give the example of holding something that is heavy, a bag that is heavy, and the money comes. This holding that bag is not something that is pleasurable usually. So the money, the sperm did not come out of pleasure. In this case, is not a janaba. So when the money comes from something that is pleasurable, even from scratching for a person who has a skin a disease that requires that he scratch his skin, if that happen and the money come, it will have to make the janaba. Or someone on a camel or a donkey and feeling something from the contact that his private part has with that being in that position, and the money come, it has to make the ghusl. Otherwise, no, it has to make wudu only. Right? If somebody, let's say that for some reason the sperm come not for pleasure, let's say that, or not for a dream, like I mentioned, holding a heavy weight. In this case, it makes wudu only. Go ahead.
وفرائضه النية وتعميم ظاهر الجسد بالماء وتخليل الشعر والدلك ولو بغير اليد والموالاة.
So the obligation of ghusl, the obligational act of ghusl, the ghusl of janaba, are first intention, covering the entire body with water, doing the takhleel, rubbing between your hair for the water to reach the roots of your hair, and rubbing also the part of your body, because this is washing, even if you have to use a tool for that. If you don't use, your hand does not reach your back, You need to find a tool that will help you with that. And muwala, having a continuity. Do not wait until some part of the body are dry and wash the other part.
وسننه غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين والمضمضة والاستنشاق والاستنثار ومسح صماخ الأذنين.
So the sunan of ghusl is to wash the hand to the wrist and rinsing your mouth, rinsing your nose and blowing the water out of your nose and wiping the internal part of your ears.
وفضائله التسمية والبدء بإزالة الأذى عن جسده ثم غسل عورته ثم أعضاء وضوئه مؤخرا رجليه لفراغ الغسل وتقديم أعاليه وميامنه وتثليث رأسه وقلة الماء بلا حد.
So the fada'il, the recommended or virtuous acts of ghusl are to say Bismillah and to start removing the impurity that is in your body here, sperm, for removing that, or the blood for a woman in a menstruation, and then washing your private part, and then washing the wudu part, but you delay washing your feet because the water is accumulating under you, right? So you delay washing your feet until you finish your ghusl, you wash your feet. And you start from the upper part of your limbs and from the right before the left, the upper before the lower, and repeating 3 times washing of your head and using a small amount of water to make the ghusl.
وتمنع الجنابة من الصلاة والطواف ومس المصحف ودخول المسجد وقراءة القرآن إلا لتعوذ أو نحوه.
So the janaba prevents a person from praying, from making tawaf, and from touching the Quran, the Musaf, or entering the masjid and reading the Quran, except if you're reading that as to seek refuge from Allah, from shaitan, saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, for example.
فصل في المسح على الخفين.
So this chapter is to wiping on leather socks.
رخص لرجل وامرأة في حضر أو سفر في المسح على الخفين بدلا من غسل الرجلين في الوضوء ب10 شروط.
So it is permission is given for men or women in the state of you're traveling or you're a resident to wipe on the leather socks instead of washing your feet in wudu, not in janaba. But this has 10 conditions that we will mention.
6 في الخف وهي كونه جلدا طاهرا مخروزا ساترا لمحل الفرض يمكن تتابع المشي فيه عادة بلا حائل.
So there are 6 conditions in the leather socks itself, and the 4 is in the person who is wiping. So the first is that they are related to the socks themselves, and they are that the socks must be made of leather. That's a condition that is for the Maliki only. It has to be leather, or it has to have a part of leather in it. So I think most part leather too. So if it's not leather, you cannot wipe on that. It has to be clean, pure. It has to be clean. It doesn't have najasa in it. It has to be sewn. It has to be stitched. Is something that is not glued together. It has to be has a sewing trace on it. and it has to cover the obligatory part of your wudu, meaning your foot to the ankle. And it can be, when wearing that, you can have a continuous walking with it. In a normal condition, you can walk with it continuously. And that it is also, there's no barrier on them. There's no mud, for example, or something that prevent them from being wiped. If there's mud on this leather sock that prevent for you to wipe directly to the leather sock, you have to remove the mud before being able to wipe it.
وأربعة في الماسح، وهي أن يلبسه بعد كمال طهارته المائية، وأن لا يكون مترفها بلبسه ولا عاصيا كمحرم.
So, and four are related to the person who's wiping over the socks, and these are that he must wear them after a full tahara, after having a wudu or a ghusl, a tahara ma'iyah, not after a tayammum, after a full wudu or a full ghusl with water, and that it is not really wearing that leather socks to be just for comfort only, or to be extravagant. And I think that that's a better translation, like to show off in wearing them. Or it is not being, it does not wear them in an act of disobedience, like if it was in a Hajj, in a state of ihram, you don't cover your shoes that cover your feet to the ankle. So if it does that, it will be breaking the law of ihram and the rule of Hajj. In this case, it cannot wipe on the socks. So these are four conditions for the person who's wiping on the leather socks.
ولا حد لأمد لبسه ويندب نزعه لكل جمعة.
There's no limit of time. There's no term limit as how long you can wipe on your leather socks. This is again the Maliki differ here from the Hanafi, and I think that from all the four the three madhahib, they did not limit put a limit for when you can take off your leather socks. The majority are 3 days for the person who's traveling, and one day and night. 3 days mean 72 hours, and 1 day is 24 hours for a person with a resident. You cannot do more than that. That's because of the hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib, that the Prophet ﷺ limit that time. But Omar, in his hadith, he did not know about that limit, and this is what the Maliki follow. So there's no limit, but it is recommended to remove it once every Friday.
ويبطل بموجب غسل وبتخرقه قدر ثلث القدم إن انضم، وإلا بالقليل لا جدا إن انفتح، وبإخراج رجليه أو أحدهما ولو إلى محل الساق. So
it is what invalidate the wiping over the socks is what necessitate ghusl. If you have a khuf and you reach a state of janaba, you cannot wipe on the socks anymore. Or getting a tear, there's a hole in the hoof that equal a third of your feet. If the length of the tear was joined, if you join them together and they equal 1/4 of your feet, this will invalidate wiping on them. Or a small hole in it, but it is open. You can see through. And by thus invalidate the wiping. And by removing also 1 foot or both of them from the sock, even if only to the half portion of the sock, the leg of the sock. If you reach that, it will invalidate the wiping.
وكيفية المسح أن يضع يده اليمنى على طرف الأصابع من أعلى واليسرى من أسفل ويمرهما للكعبين، وتبطل الصلاة بترك الأعلى، ويعيد في الوقت إن ترك الأسفل، ويكره غسله وتتبع غضونه، والله أعلم.
So here again, that's what the Maliki differ from the Hanafi, and I think from all, is that in wiping your socks, you wipe the top part and the bottom part. So you put your right hand's fingers on the top part of your feet, your feet, and the left hand fingers on the bottom, and you move them toward your ankles. That's how you wipe the socks for the Malik. For the Hanafi, just you use the tips of your fingers to wipe on top of your socks. You don't need to wipe on the bottom. And then if you don't wipe on the top, your prayer will not be valid because you do not have wudu. But if you pray without wiping on the bottom, you will repeat your prayer as long as the prayer time remains. Otherwise, you don't have to repeat it. It is disliked that you wash the socks and to follow up. This one I did not know. Don't know this word.
Creases, غضونه.
Yeah, I don't know the creases. What's creases?
Like wrinkles.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that. So it is disliked to wash the socks, or if there are things that are folding one another, to go there and try to remove what is in between. I think that this is what it is.
فصل في التيمم وأحكامه. قال: وهو طهارة ترابية بدلا عن الطهارة المائية، وسببه فقد الكافي من الماء، أو وجود مانع كخوف حدوث مرض أو زيادته، أو تأخر برء، أو خوف كلص، أو عطش محترم، أو خروج وقت بطلبه، أو فقد آلة.
Okay, so it says this fasl is tayammum, the dry ablution. So tayammum is a purification by soil. You don't need water when you don't have water. So it is an alternative to purification by water. And the reason to use that is that you don't have enough water, right? Not you don't have water. If you have water, that's not enough to make wudu. You can make tayammum too. So you don't have enough water, or you have water, but you cannot use it. Like there is water, but you are afraid of going to the place of water from thief or animals or like that. Or you are afraid that your sickness will be, you will be sick, or your sickness will be worsened, or your recovery will be delayed if you use water, or you are afraid of a thief, or you are afraid of if you use that water, there will be of thirst of somebody else, or you are afraid that if you go to find water, the time of prayer will expire, will go out, or you don't have the tool to get that water, or you don't have someone who will give you that water for a sick person.
ووجب طلبه إن لم يظن عدمه أو خروج الوقت قبله، وشراؤه بثمن اعتيد وإن بذمته، وطلبه ممن حوله إن لم يعلم بخلهم به.
So it is an obligation to look for water unless you believe that there's no hope in finding water, or you are afraid that if you look for water, the time will go out. It is also an obligation, a thing that, hold on, purchase water if you have a normal, yeah, this even if he has to buy it. Yeah, it is an obligation if to buy that water if the price is, if it is not overpriced. Of course, if you have the means to do that, even if you have to take a debt for that. And to request water from those who are around you, to ask for water, if you don't think that they will refuse to give it to you.
قال وفرائضه أن ينوي في أوله استباحة ما تيمم له كالصلاة ومس المصحف من الحدث الأصغر، وإن كان عليه أكبر نوى الاستباحة منه عند كل تيمم حتى يغتسل.
So the obligational act of tayammum to make the intention at the beginning for making permissible what was not permissible before that, like prayer or touching the Quran. But that's in the case of wudu. But in the case of janaba, to make the intention to make permissible what was not permitted in the state of janaba.
والضربة الأولى على صعيد طاهر وهو كل ما كان من أجزاء الأرض ولو كشب أو حديد ما دام في معدنه، وأما التراب والرمل والحجارة فلا يضر نقلها، والأفضل التراب ولو نقل، ومسح الوجه ومسح اليدين إلى الكوعين بتخليل الأصابع ومسح ما تحت الخاتم.
So the first contact hitting the earth, the soil with your two hands, with a clean soil with your two hands. That's an obligation, but that's called sa'id. What you hit or what you make contact to make your tayammum is called sa'id, the face of the earth, the soil. And for the Maliki is everything that is part of the earth, even if it is like a type of mineral dirt like alum or iron, or as long as they are in the natural state, they are not moved to another place. You don't make tayammum on iron, but if the iron is in the iron mine mixed with the dirt, you can make tayammum on that. But as for soil itself, you can make soil tayammum on soil even if you move it. The same thing for rocks. You can make tayammum on rocks even if you move it from the natural path. Moving them does not harm. But the best thing to make tayammum is soil, even if it is moved. And then when you make the first contact with your two hands on that soil, you wipe your face with it, and then you wipe your hand to the wrist with it, and you rub between your two fingers, and then even if you have a ring, you rub under the ring. Here, to go back to what was mentioned last week, Majid, you're right, it's just the ring only. I went back to read it again. I misread it and did not think about that. So the ring, if it is not more than 2 dirham of, it is okay to wear it from the ring of silver. So yeah, go ahead.
وسننه ضربة ثانية لليدين والمسح من الكوعين إلى المرفقين وتقديم الوجه على اليدين.
So the sunnah of tayammum is the second contact with the soil or the dirt or the earth, and wipe it and wipe your hand from the wrist to the elbow. That's sunnah, and starting with your face before your hand.
وفضائله التسمية وبدء بظاهر اليمنى ببطن أصابع يسراه إلى المرفقين ثم يمسح الباطن ببطن الراحة لآخر الأصابع واليسرى كذلك. So
the virtues of tayammum is saying Bismillah, beginning by wiping the outer portion of so what you do, I wish the video were there to show it, but again, you take your hand, your first hand, فضائله تسمية وبدأ بظاهر اليمنى ببطن أصابع اليسرى. You take your left hand and wipe the back of your right hand to the elbow. Your left hand, wipe your right hand to the elbow, starting from the back and moving from the back and the lower part from the front to the upper finger. It's better to show that, but inshallah, maybe next week I will show that. And then you repeat the same for the other hand.
وشروط صحته دخول الوقت واتصاله بما تيمم له ولا يصلي الفرض بتيمم لغيره بخلاف النوافل إن اتصلت ويبطل التيمم ببطلات الوضوء وبوجود الماء قبل الصلاة لا فيها إلا ناسيه.
So one of the conditions of validity of the tayammum is that the time has to come. So if you make tayammum before the time of zuhur, you cannot pray with that when zuhur comes. And your tayammum has to be connected with your prayer. And then you pray only one fard prayer with one tayammum. Here, there's a difference with the Hanafi. The Hanafi, you can pray any fard as long as you don't break your wudu, your tayammum is valid. But for the Maliki, you use one tayammum for one fard prayer. But you can pray as much nafil as you want in Itasalat, as long as they're connected to one another. And the tayammum is invalidated with what invalidates your wudu or with what finding water. I cannot, okay, yes, that's good now. With finding water before prayer, but not inside prayer. If you find water inside your prayer, and you say that you didn't have water, and then you make your tayammum and you pray, and somebody brought you water for wudu inside your prayer is valid, and your tayammum is valid, your wudu is valid. But if you, let's say that you have water, but you forgot where the water was, you did not remember, and you make tayammum and you start praying. And when in your prayer you remember that water is there, here in this case, your wudu is not valid and your prayer is not valid. Go ahead.
ويتيمم الآيس أول الوقت والراجي آخره والمتردد وسطه فإن قدم الراجي أو المتردد صحت فإن وجد الماء في الوقت أعادا ندبا والله أعلم.
So if you are in a place that there's no water, but you lose hope, you lost hope of having water, there's no need for you to wait the end of the time. You make your tayammum at the beginning of the time and you pray. But if you have hope that you will find water, you keep looking, you delay your prayer until the end of time, and when you don't find it, you pray right just before the prayer time goes out. But if you are not sure, do I have hope or not, you pray, make your tayammum in the middle of the time and you pray. But in case of a person who hope to find water, or who doubt will he find water or not, and he prayed at the beginning of time, and then later find water before the end of the time, that person, it is recommended that he repeat his prayer, but it is not an obligation for him to repeat it. Wallahu alam.
فصل في المسح على الجبيرة. من كان به جرح أو قرح وخاف بغسله زيادته أو تأخر برء مسح عليه إن استطاع، وإلا فعلى الدواء، فإن لم يستطع فعلى الخرقة التي تلف الدواء، ولا يكثر الطباق بل يقصر على الحاجة.
Oh, Majid, maybe it's better to stop here and
this is a short one. If you would like to stop here, this will be the last one.
Okay, so let's go. So if you have a wound or a burn and feel that in the state of wudu you cannot wash them, if you wash them, it will increase your pain or delay your healing. You can wipe directly over the wound if you're able to do that. But if you cannot even wipe the wound, you wipe over the medicine if there's a medicine on it, on that area. If there's no, you cannot do that, you wipe on the piece of cloth, the bandage that is put over it, or the medicine. But you need to make, should not need to put a lot of band-aid. If one layer is enough or 2 layers enough, you don't need to put 5 layers of clothes. Rather, you should limit to what is necessary.
فإن سقطت أو الدواء وهو في الصلاة بطلت، وأما الوضوء فإن بادر بغسل المحل أو مسحه أو رد الجبيرة ومسح صح، وإلا بطل والله أعلم.
So if you wipe on the medicine on your wound or on the bandage on your wound, and you pray, but the bandage fell or the medicine fell on in your prayer, and the wound was exposed, your wudu is broken. So you have to renew your wudu. Sorry, your prayer is your prayer is broken because you do not have wudu. But if in your wudu, after you made your wudu, the bandage or the medicine fell, you have to immediately go back and wash the place or wipe it or put back the bandage and wipe on it. If you do that immediately, your wudu is okay. If not, your wudu is broken. Wallahu a'lam. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. So we stop here unless there are questions. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. بارك الله فيك.